नहमदुहु व नसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली रब्बी ज़िदनी इल्मा अल्लाहुम्मा फ़क़्क़िहना फ़िद्दीन अल्लाहुम्मा इन्नी अस्अलुका इल्मन नाफ़िअ व अमलन मुतक़ब्बला व रिज़्क़न तय्यबा. Today we will be starting from ayat number 118, Surah Al-Baqarah. Wa and qala, qaf wa lam is the root, said, allazina, those, la, not, ya'lamuna. The root is ayn lam mim, which means knowledge, and la ya'lamuna, those who did not have knowledge. Law, if, la, why not, or if only, yukallimuna, kaf lam mim, kalam is the root, which means talk, speak. So kalam of Allah, Quran is also the kalam of Allah, and it ends in nun alif na, which means to us. If only Allah would speak to us, Allahu, Allah, aw, or ta'tina, the root is ati, hamza taya, and it ends, the word ends in nun alif, which means if it had come to us, ayatun, a sign. So they said, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions la ya'lamuna, allazina la ya'lamuna, meaning those people who did not have any knowledge. It could mean two things. Usually it is used when, in contrast to when Allah uses the word, the phrase people of the book for the Jews and the Christians, and when Allah wants to mention the polytheists because they were not the people of the book. So Allah mentions la ya'lamuna, those who did not have knowledge, prior knowledge of the books. So knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it could also mean any of them, meaning also the Jews and Christians, and basically calling them that they're not using their knowledge or they're not using their aql, brain. And just like somebody who's ignorant, who does not have ilm, just like in Arabic, the word jahil, who does not have the knowledge of religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that those who have no knowledge, they say, if only Allah would speak to us or a sign would come to us. What does Allah say? Kazalika. This was the same, just like that. Qala, qaf wa lam, said, allazina, those people, min, from, qablihim, before them. Qablihim, root is qaf ba lam, qabl means before, him, before them. So this is not something new. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that this is something that people before, who came before, they also said the same thing, similar things. Misla qawlihim, similar qawl. Misla means same, similar, qawlihim, their words, whatever they're saying. Allah mentions, like analyzes them, tashabahat qulubuhum. Tashabahat, the root is sheen baha shub, which means alike. If there are two people who have the tashbih, if people can get confused between the two, like twins, they have tashbih, like they look alike. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions they have alike. What is alike about them? Qulubuhum. Qaf lam ba is the root, which means heart, and qulub means hearts, plural, and hum, their hearts. So their hearts are alike, all alike, meaning they all have similar hearts. They don't melt. They do not want to submit. They are just, their hearts have become too hard. When you argue too much, then your hearts become harder and harder. Qad, indeed, bayyanna. Bayanun is the root, which means clear, and nun, there is a shadda on the nun, and nun alif, which means we. So we have made clear al-ayati, the signs, liqawmin, for qawmin, for the nation, yuqinun, ya qaf nun yaqan. Yaqeen means for sure. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions we have made the signs very clear for people of who have clear, sure faith, who have the yaqeen. Yaqeen is the kind of faith where there is no assumption. It's very, very clear, as if something you've seen the evidence. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the general understanding of this ayat is that Allah mentions that what they are saying is not something new. They don't have to think that they are very unique people and then they came up with something very, a new idea, a new concept. No, their hearts are similar to those who did not believe earlier, before as well, in the nations of other prophets as well. And they are saying such similar things, and it's like, it's in the tone that is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't care about them. Their hearts are similar to those who had similar things to say. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the signs clear for people who have yaqeen. For example, the people of Samud asked Salih alayhi salam to have the camel, the she camel, and they gave very specific instructions that they wanted coming out of the cliff, out of the mountain, and it should be like this and that. And they got it. But what did they do? Did they believe? No. And in the same way, Musa alayhi salam had, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent so many signs. They could see with their own eyes how the sea parted. They could see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them man and salwa. And there were many other very, very clear signs. But they were getting distracted again and again with anything that they would see. Whether it is a calf, whether it is any chance that they had to rebel or to bother him, to do their own thing here and there. So they were always ready to start making partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though they had seen all the signs. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that Allah does not have to send a prophet who has a snake will turn into a snake. There are so many signs around here, around you, in your own body, in your own house, in your own children. You see that everything in the universe is a sign. You do not need a prophet to come and put something like a magic show for you. And there is a hadith related to this, that because these people were the Jews, and at one point they were also asking that, okay, if Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is a true prophet, then he should be able to turn the deserts of Arabia into very green grassy lands and stuff, and he should be able to turn the Mount Safa into gold. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the hadith we know that Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given the choice, that Allah told him that if you want, I can turn Safa mount into gold, and I can turn the lands of Arabia into green lands. But if the people still will not believe, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that I will punish them with the punishment that nobody has ever seen before. It'll be very harsh. And on the other hand, no other signs should be sent. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam chose the other option, that no, people should be given more time, and no such signs that will lead to a very big azab or punishment for them. Because all the other nations also, after a certain warning, after their signs, they got the big punishment. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was kind of his wish, his prayer, that people should not get this azab and they should get the time. He should be able to, he was willing to work more on them. Now, next ayat. Inna, indeed, we, arsalnaka, rasin lam. Rasal means sent, and arsalnaka, na, we, ka, you. So we sent you bil haqi, with truth. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we sent you surely with the truth. Bashiran wa naziran. Bashir comes from Bashin Ra, which means good news, and Naziran Nun Zal Ra, which means warning. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's also like a kind of counseling him, that Prophet ﷺ used to get really worried. Sometimes in his heart, he would think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why can't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send them some kind of sign, something. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is it's like consoling him that you do not have to worry that maybe it is your responsibility to show them some signs or something. Whatever you are already bringing is haq, its truth. There is nothing to think that, okay, maybe it should be something more clear for them to believe. It is clear enough. And of course, they were the people of this language, and they were very good at understanding, and it was just their stubbornness. It was just that they had made up their minds that those who wanted to believe, they had already believed. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the signs in the universe, the signs in your own body, in your homes, in everything that you see, that a believer's iman increases by looking at the sign. But those people who have already decided that they are not going to believe, they are not going to believe with any sign, any very obvious sign as well. Voila. And besides that, Prophet ﷺ did have many signs, just so enough that the people could believe that he was a prophet. There are many instances where we see that there was just enough food for Prophet and one more companion, but Prophet ﷺ said Bismillah, and then he fed it to the entire army in Battle of Khandaq, and where there wasn't enough food and they were just tying stones and rocks on their stomach because of the extreme hunger. And then somebody sent food for Prophet ﷺ, and that companion's wife had special instructions sent that it is only for Prophet and you, because like there isn't much. It's hardly going to suffice for two people. But Prophet ﷺ called everyone, and they all were able to eat. It became a lot. Another time also, when they were traveling and they got very thirsty or hungry, and they came across a house of a woman who had only one goat, and the goat was also very skinny. And Prophet ﷺ, I think Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu asked if they could get some milk, and she said that you are allowed to try, but this goat doesn't give much milk. And when Prophet ﷺ asked for a container, a big container, and then the goat gave a lot of milk, which was enough for a very big group of people. And similar things have happened, and we know many such miracles. And so these signs and many other signs in the personality of the Prophet ﷺ were enough to convince them that Prophet ﷺ was a prophet. Of course, these kinds of things were not happening all the time, because Allah also wanted to prove that he is a human being just like us. Because if Prophet ﷺ would always have miracles about food and everything, then those people would say that, oh, it's very hard for us to believe in these things, because for Muhammad ﷺ, it's not going to be very hard, because he's a special person and he has special mercy and blessings. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not always, he also made him go through many tests. So people, even today, while they're trying to practice Quran, they would know that, yeah, Prophet ﷺ also did this, and he was tested even more than us. So in ayat number 119, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, Inna arsalnaka bil haqqi bashiran wa nazira. You're here with the truth, don't worry about it, and you're delivering good news and bad news, meaning the bad news for people who will stick to their bad deeds. So, and good news for people who will listen to you and who will become Muslims. Wala, and not tus'alu. Seen Hamza Lam is the root, which means sa'al, means question, and you will not be questioned. And about Ashabil Jahim, about the people of the residents or the companions of the Jahim. Jahim is another name for hellfire. Jim Hamim means very intense glare, stare, anger, with anger, just like a lion staring at its prey. So Jahim is the dozakh, it's the hellfire which is staring at its prey, basically waiting and angry and just wanting to burn the people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it clear that through Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you will not be asked about the people that you are trying to spread the message to. Don't think that, okay, if I'm also responsible for what their reaction is. Your thing is to tell them what is right and what is wrong. Then let's do ayat number 120. Walan, and never will. And never will. La means not, lan means never. Tarda, ra, dad, wow. And they will never be happy. Anka, with you. An, with ka, you. Who will never be happy with you? Al-Yahudu walan Nasara. Not the Jews and not the Christians. They are never going to be happy with you. Hatta, unless and until, tattabi'a, taba'ain means follow. And it has another extra ta in the start, which means until you follow. Millatahum. Millat it means creed or their faith, basically their group, their beliefs, their traditions. So unless and until you follow their traditions, their creed, they are never going to be happy with you. They're always going to be upset with you. They're always going to bring questions to you. They're always going to bother you. They're always going to disrupt your gathering. They're always going to plot about you, spy against you, and they're going to be bring one problem after the other. They're never going to be happy with you. And what will make them happy? Until and unless you try to follow them there. And this is like, you can see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us here. This is a very, very clear hint about what we should be doing. Allah uses the word millatahum, which means their creed, their traditions, their things that they do, right? Allah does not say that until and unless you follow their religion, which means that the people of today, we think that, oh, I'm a Muslim, I'm not becoming a Jew or Christian. No, I'm a Muslim. But we do every single thing that they are doing. Millat means they're following, walking, assimilating with them, becoming one of them. So look at us today, and then we think that, oh, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is repeating this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that, why don't I have a sign and stuff. Sometimes people who move to West also, and I'm also talking about the people who do not even move to West, but let's talk about people who move to West. They think that, okay, we have to assimilate and we have to fit in, and we should not be such extreme Muslims. We should talk like them, dress up like them, attend parties like them, sing like them, and then what else is left? Dance like them and drink like them and eat like them as well. So we start justifying many things and start following them, and start losing our identity and start feeling bad about our identity and start getting embarrassed about our identity. And look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. This is what they are wanting, and you're giving it to them. Start celebrating like them. Everything, start having traditions like them. Our marriages look like them, our any kind of celebration, and we are also following their traditions about Halloween and Valentine and this day and all those things. That no, we should also be flexible. Muslims should be flexible. We are losing our identity. And look at the next part in ayat number 120. Qul, say, tell them, inna, indeed, hudallahi, the guidance of Allah, huwal huda. That is the actual guidance. The guidance of Allah is the actual guidance, which means the guidance that they are giving you is not the guidance. Don't follow them. What is the meaning of guidance? Following a path, right? So when Allah is saying the guidance of Allah is the actual guidance, what are we comparing it to? Their guidance, following Allah's path or following their path. So Allah is saying that, oh, make sure you keep following Allah's path. Don't leave that, because this is the real guidance. Don't go there. That is the wrong path. You're going astray. It's just like that you have two choices, and one is established GPS that is in the phone, and one is some other thing that a child makes and says, can you try this? I have tried to make an app. And if you really need to reach somewhere and this is not the time that you can test, which GPS would you want to actually put? Something that a new engineer wants to test right now, or you want to use the one that will definitely for sure is the truth, it is the haq, it is correct, it is going to take you to the destination. You're not going to use the other one because you know that it's not going to take you to the destination. You need to reach there on time, right? For an interview, for whatever it is, for anything, for an appointment. So Jannat, also if you want to reach Jannah, you are not going to experiment with things that, okay, that's fine, I'll just do this. I'll just oh how cool, I'm looking like them. We just think that we can just merge and fit in and look like them and be like them, and we Shaitan tells us that this is cool. You look so cool like this. So let's read the next part of it. Wa and la, if, in, if, and if, attaba'ata, taba'ain, if you follow them, follow ahwa'ahum. Hawa is the, it means desire, and especially hawa is used in context for the desires that will take you down, that will reach, they will reach for ending, or like that will reach a destruction or doom. And if you were to follow their desires, and keep in mind, again, Allah used the word millatahum earlier, now Allah is using ahwa'ahum. Allah knows that we are not going to change religion. We're going to be very comfortable in our frame of our same religion, Islam, and doing everything else where we are following their millat and their desires. This is what they want, and this is what we start wanting. بعد الذي, after what جاءك has come to you. Ka means you, جاء جيم همزة يا. So if ولئن اتبعت أهواءهم, if you were to follow their desires, بعد الذي, after that جاءك, it has come to you. What has come to you? من العلم, from the ilm, from the knowledge. So if you follow their desires after the knowledge has come to you, which knowledge? The knowledge of religion, the knowledge of deen, the knowledge of Quran. So after you have that knowledge, you know that it doesn't mean that you think that, okay, I can stop listening to the tafsir from now, so I can be one of those who doesn't have ilm and I can just simply keep following my friends. No. Means that you know that you are a Muslim. You know you have a separate identity. You know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has selected a different kind of food system for you, different clothing, different dressing up, different way of celebrating things, different way of talking, everything. So even there is a hadith that Islam was a stranger and it will stay a stranger, meaning it will not mix into other religion, other people, just like other religions can. I mean, even if you see the Hindus or Indians, there are many things there. Even if the culture seems similar to us, right? We see that the religion does not stop them from wearing certain kinds of clothes, from going to dance parties, from having mixed parties. From sometimes it is just they think that officially they are not allowed to eat certain meat or drink, but they can do it because it's not. But for us, it is like our religion is our deen. It's not a little part of our day that we just do our salah and then back to mixing up with people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you were to follow their desires after all the knowledge that has come to you, what will happen? Malaka, not for you, laka, for you, min Allahi, from Allah, min waliyin, there will be no protector, wala, and no nasir, helper. So nasir comes from nun swadra, which means help when it is desperately needed. Wali, wow, lam, yeah, means somebody who's guardian, protector, supervisor, who is there for you, is always there for you, who brings good things for you. And nasir is who protects you from any kind of harm. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically disowns you. Allah does not want to help you if you are into if you call yourself a Muslim but you want to follow other people and their traditions, and if you are okay to lose your identity, and if you don't really care about being a Muslim, or if you are insecure about being a Muslim, if you're not a confident Muslim. Then let's do ayat number 121. Allazina, those, ataynahum. The root is ati, hamza ta'ya, hum, na, we, hum, them, al-kitab, the book. And those, to those people who we have given the book. Okay, now we're talking about both Jews and Christians, and also the Muslims, because they also have the book. Yatlunahu, ta lam waw, which means recitation, but it also literally means follow. And ta lam waw, tulu or talv, it means to follow so much, to put your foot in the same place where the person ahead of you put their foot in. So completely following even the footsteps, which means that Quran should be, when we say tilawa, it should not just be read without understanding and following. It should be followed exactly how we read it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that those we have given the book follow it haqqa tilawatihi. Haqq, how it has the haqq, according to the right of its tilawa. They follow it like the actual real people who are the people of the book are those who recite the book as it has the right of recitation. What is the right of recitation? Not just reading, but understanding. Not just understanding, but following it, practicing according to it. It has many levels, and when one is where you have to read it properly, where you have to learn to read it properly. You can't just say, okay, I can't read it so properly, but it is okay, I understand the meaning of it. No. So one of the level is to be able to read it with proper, and there is always, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives more reward for person who reads while struggling to read it properly. But it does not mean that you stay in the struggling stage always thinking that I never got the time. You have to find time for that. The second level is to understand the word meanings of the words, like at least the Quranic Arabic meanings. And the third level is to understand the tafsir of it and to follow it. And according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the 5 rights of the Quran are to believe in it and, honor it. Like, you have that iman, that the Quran is the truth. The second level is to read and recite it, like spend a lot of time reading. Don't just think that, okay, if I know the meaning, that is enough. Reading, keep in mind that your day should not end without reading. I'm making it very, very easy for you, at least 5 to 10 ayat. At least if you have a very, very strict, very busy work schedule, you have children, you have everything. These days you all have smartphones. We all have, if you are working, make sure your laptop, your desktop, your phone, wherever you can find, you do at least 5 or 10 ayat. It'll be very easy for you. Just make sure that, let me just do this. It'll take me 5 minutes. Just take that 5 minutes. The third level is understanding and reflecting upon it. So that is like the tafakkur and tadabbur. And then the fourth is implementing, meaning the practicing according to it. And then the fifth is that once you're able to, then conveying to others, spreading the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among the people who do the tilawat of the Quran as the haqq, according to its haqq. So, yatlunahu haqqa tilawatihi. They do the tilawat according to what the right of tilawat is. Ulaika, those are the people yu'minuna bihi. Yu'minuna, hamza mim noon, they have iman bihi in it. Those are the true believers. Those are the people who have truly believe in it. Waman, and for those yakfur, who do kufr, who reject it, who deny it, bihi, فَأُولَٰئِكَ, then those are humul khasirun. Those are the khasirin. Those are khasira, meaning Khasirun means lose. Khasirun means those are the losers. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has explained over here. We can see the importance of the book, and it started with the thing that people are saying, the Prophet ﷺ, that why doesn't Allah talk to us? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that they already have enough signs, right? Every time you've seen from the past that they don't need signs. So how can we relate ayat number 118 to ourselves is also that sometimes you will see that people are really good people, human beings, but they don't want to spend more time on becoming better Muslims, on understanding their book, on doing us improving their salah, or improving, at least getting more into the flow of salah. They will say, oh, you know what, if it is meant to be, Allah will send a sign. Oh, I don't feel like it. I just want to give you one example. Then what happens when your child, or you, like, it would be for any work, right? Would it if you would have a choice, would you work every day to earn money? No. But you do that. Why? Because you know that it is only logical that you'll be able to earn the money at the end of the month if you work, and then only you'll be able to buy food and all the luxuries, and will be able to pay your bills and rent and all that, right? So who tells you? Does Allah or your boss or somebody come in your dream to tell you that, okay, this is a sign that you should come to work tomorrow? Or you wake yourself up, put an alarm, get ready, go to work, and this is how normally things work. So when you are a Muslim, it is not that, oh, you will get a certain sign that, okay, now my heart is into salah, and now I feel like doing salah. People sometimes really shrug their shoulders and they say, I don't know why, I just don't feel like listening to tilawat too much, or I don't feel like doing salah. I mean, I'm not trying to humiliate anyone. I'm just saying that nobody wants to do anything which requires effort. But we all put an effort in something where we know there is good results for us. In the same way, we know that if you're a Muslim, you will need to accumulate good deeds. You will need to do things that you need to do, even if you don't want to. If you push yourself, like you push yourself in other things in the world, right? And you also make your kids do things like, okay, study science, study bio, study geography. They, even if they say, I don't feel like doing my homework, what do you tell them? No, you have to do it. You don't say, okay, he'll do it when he feels like it. You tell them that you do it. If they are not able to handle a certain subject, you find tutoring for them. You make an effort. You say, okay, tell me, how can I help you, right? So this is how we have to help each other, and this is, we don't have to sit and wait for, if it is a true religion, why don't I feel like listening to tilawat and tafsir, and why? Because if you keep listening to the music, if you will never put tilawat, it will never become an appetite for your kids. They will never develop the taste for it, and they will also grow up listening to music all the time, or nursery rhymes when you're not putting the music for them. Then they will only have that taste for that thing. So in the same way, if you've only had just if you've only had Pakistani food, you will occasionally you will like Chinese food, but you would want you to go back to your own cuisine after some time. In the same way, if you're busying yourself with the other things in the world, then you will lose the taste for what is the real thing. Okay, so keep in mind, what is my goal in life? What is the actual thing that I have to do? What is the Prophet's mission? Bashir and Nazir. That means that I also have to do the good things so I can get that bushra. I can get that good news. I want to get into Jannah. And what is the real guidance? Allah's guidance is the real guidance. Okay, inshallah, I hope this will help, and will help us become improving wherever we are in our religion, inshallah. Ameen.